Facebook. Good morning, and I'm going to mute everybody on Zoom. So in the next moment or two, please grab a blanket to have close to your mat and then come onto a good seat, whatever that looks like for you. And then with your hands, turn your thighs in, pulling the flesh of the buttocks just slightly out. And depending on the mobility in your legs and how easily they rotate in the hip sockets, do that a little less if you're more mobile and a little more if you're less mobile there. Take the fingertips down on the mat beside you, and as you push down into the fingertips, lengthen up the sides of the torso and move the top of the upper arm bones back. And place the hands lightly up or down on the legs, keeping the length in the sides of the torso. Today is Earth Day, and in celebration for Earth Day, there was a very large groundhog in the field having a celebratory breakfast in honor of Earth Day. So nice to see him this morning. So Earth Day is a moment in the year where we can actively recognize and contemplate the relationship that we have to the earth and our intimate and profound connection with the earth. In a book called Wisdom Rising, Alioni, who was one of the very few ordained Tibetan Buddhist monks, she writes that historically, when we have personified the universal energy as feminine, we live in harmony with the earth, and we have a and equal relationship with women. And at times in our history where the universal energy has been personified as male, then we move into dominion over the earth and over. So one of the invitations for Earth Day is to recognize the feminine effect present, held in the earth, in the creative power in the earth, and held inside regardless of our sex, as the universal creative principle, and to move in harmony and in honor of that principle. So one of the ways that can be embodied more specifically is in softness and even a sense of yielding. So instead of a push, we want to feel a yielding into the earth and the response from the earth, that there is a dynamic interplay in our practice and in our bodies with the earth underneath us. And as we practice this morning, I will invite you to tune into that interplay and the relationship between our body and the earth, and to yield, to go with, to move with, and to be in harmony with the experience of the body and of the contact with the earth. So with that in mind, close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, in particular, tune into the places where your body contacts something else. So either the ground on which you are sitting or the seat on which you are sitting. And as you tune into those places of contact, let the body give into the gravitational pull of the earth so that there's a softening into and a movement toward a deeper contact with the earth. And let that pull the attention more deeply inward. As best you can, let the breath move of her own volition. So that there's, even though we can consciously control or adjust the breath, right now, as much as possible, let the breath move without conscious manipulation. Letting the parasympathetic nervous system and our receptivity come more into presence, and our reactivity soften and settle a little bit. Relax the jaw and the eyes. And then with your next exhalation, join your hands together at your heart. Touch the chest at the place that feels like the midway point from the base of the pelvis and a spot about a foot above the crown of the head. And as you find the center or the heart of you, rest the thumbs against the chest in an external representation of that place. Center your attention there in the heart. And as best you can, feel into an inner softness, again, receptivity, even a sense of being held by that spot and that space. And from there, we'll Om 3 times. Take a deep breath in. Bow your head over to your heart. Pause there for a moment. And then release the hand, lift the head, and come onto your hands and knees. We're going to move into extended child's pose in a moment. So you can touch the big toes together and separate the knees a bit, but then place the hands underneath the fingers and evenly spread out the fingers without overly stretching the space between the digits. But then lift up the base, move the thumbs away from the first fingers and iron out the mounds at the bottom of the thumbs. And then just feel into the contact of the finger pads and the outer circle of the hands, yielding into the gravitational pull of the earth. So there's that sense of moving with, as opposed to moving against. And then keeping that, stretch back onto your heels with the shoulder blades away from the ears. Walk the hands forward as much as possible But reposition the hands so you have that same contact that you felt when you had more of the straight down movement from the shoulders to the palms. You'll lose it a bit, or I will lose it a bit here, but we want to, as much as possible, let the hands sink into the earth. And then keeping that, and the elbows can touch the ground here. Release the head. Rest the forehead. Soften the jaw and the eyes. And in the softening, there is an opening, an invitation, and a receptivity to that which is. And let the body yield into the gravitational pull of the earth. Couple more breaths here. Walk the hands a little bit further away from you, perhaps, lifting the elbows away from the ground. And then as you lift the undersides of the arms up, away from the floor, again feel into the hands sinking into the ground. There might even be a feeling that the hands actually dig into the earth underneath you. And then without lifting the head, lift the hips, tuck the toes under, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. As you move into the pose, adjust the hands and the feet any amount needed to come into your position. And then without large overt adjustments, feel into the pose, becoming sensitive and available to the body's response to the movement, to the shift in position. Let the hands and the feet settle more deeply into the ground, so especially the pads of the fingers and the outer circle of the palms, the pads of the toes, the balls of the feet, and the center of the heels. So keeping a sense of softness in the elbows and the knees, turn the outer arms, the triceps, toward the sides of the face. Squeeze the outer hips toward the midline of the body. And now draw the hips away from the wrists to create more length along the sides of the torso. One more breath here. Practice going with the body experience instead of fighting or adding more. Feel into and receive the body's response to the pose, to the shape. And then looking forward, inhale, walk the feet to the hands. Take the feet wider apart for the first standing forward bend. And fold over the legs, Uttanasana. With the outer edges of the feet parallel. Slightly bend the knees. And stacking the hips, relatively speaking, over the heels. Sink the pads of the toes lightly down onto the ground so the toes are neither gripping nor lifted. Press the weight of the body evenly across the balls of the feet and into the center of the heels. Then keeping the fingertips on the ground. If you like, stretch the legs a little straighter, going up from your heels to your sitting bones. Hug the outer hips together.
And just slightly peel the low belly back. And let the torso fold more deeply. Practice feeling into and moving with the body's response to the pose. So we're cultivating responsiveness, receptivity, moving in harmony with what is, with the earth and the body. And then bending the knees a little bit as needed. Put your hands on your hips. Lift your chin. Inhale, come up. Exhale. Release the arms. So I'm just going to face you, but you can stay facing the short edge of the mat. Keeping the feet settling into the ground. Inhale, take the right arm up alongside the right ear. And as you push down into the right heel, lightly lengthen along the right side of the torso. Hold the right upper arm with the left hand and spin the tricep again toward the face. And then bend the elbow. And lightly lift the elbow up, the right elbow up, using your left hand to encourage that. Or if the elbow is more or less over the shoulder, press the upper arm bone back. Today, have the right hand more to the outside edge of the shoulder blade than in toward the spine. One more breath. And then exhale and release. Inhale the left arm up. Lengthen through the left side softly. Turn the arm in. Bend the elbow. And then using your right hand to keep turning the outside of the upper arm around toward the face. Lift the elbow up and lightly press the upper arm bone back if the elbow is stacked over the shoulder. If not, you're thinking about up and getting more length on the underside of the arm. One more breath. And then exhale, release. And now the bottom part of Gomukhasana arms. So stretch the right arm out to the right. And this is a little trickier for the shoulder joint, so go softly with receptivity. Turn the entire right arm so that the upper arm bone rolls forward in the shoulder joint, and then bend the elbow. Place the back of the right hand on the back of the torso. And option one, if this is already feeling a lot and you have a lot of sensation here in the front of the shoulder, I would just take the elbow more out to the side and relieve some of that pressure. If you feel less, then lengthen up along the right side of the torso and just slightly move the upper arm bone, the top of the upper arm bone back, and walk your right hand more up toward the back of your head. Breathe. As much as possible, keep the tops of the shoulders square, in line. One more breath. And then exhale. Roll the shoulder forward as you release. And then the other side. So take the left arm out, turn it in from the top, bending at the elbow. Take the hand behind you. So the top of the shoulder will roll back. You don't want a lot of sensation right here at the rotator cuff in the front of the shoulder. So move the elbow to the side if that's happening. Lift and lengthen along the left side of the torso. Slightly move the top of the upper arm bone back. And if it's available to you, walk the left elbow in a bit and take the left hand more up the back toward the base of the neck. Breathe. One more breath. Letting the shoulder roll forward, exhale, release. With the arms to the sides, inhale, take the arms up overhead. Lengthen the sides of the torso and then grab your elbows, or more accurately, kind of the base of the upper arms if you can get there. And lifting the elbows and the forearms up toward the ceiling. Squeeze the upper arms in toward the ears. And then as much as possible, take the upper arm bones back behind the ears without swaying the lower back. One more breath here. And then release the elbows, stretch the arms straight, and then grab the other way. So the other hand first. Hold the base of the upper arms. Let the shoulder blades lift. Squeeze the upper arms in. And then as much as possible, take the upper arms back behind the ears. As you do that, keep the weight balanced in the heels and the balls of the feet. Maintain the sit over the heels. Take the upper arms back. One more breath. And then release the elbows, stretch the arms straight, and exhale, take the arms to the sides. Surya Namaskar. We're going to do it with lunges today. So place the feet hip bone distance apart. Join your hands together at your heart. Releasing the arms down. Inhale, circle the arms up overhead. Join the palms and exhale, fold over the legs. Touch the fingertips to the ground on either side of the feet. Inhale, step the right foot back. Straight leg lunge. Exhale, plank pose. So place the hands flat, step the other foot back. Bend the knees to the ground. Arch the back, keeping the shoulder blades away from the ears. Dive the chest down. Slide forward. Curl the head and chest back away from the ground. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot all the way forward. Lunge. Exhale, left foot forward, fold. Inhale, circle the arms. Come all the way up. Reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands at your heart. Inhale, circle the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, left foot back lunge. Exhale, plank pose. Knees, chest, and chin to the ground, inhale. And then exhale, dive the chest down, slide forward, curl, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward. Exhale, right foot forward, fold. Inhale, circle the arms overhead. Exhale, hands at your heart. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, right foot back, touch lightly. Hands flat, exhale, plank pose. Knees, chest, and chin, knees to the ground, inhale, exhale, chest and chin down. Slide forward, curl, cobra. Exhale, downward. Inhale, right foot forward. Exhale, left foot forward. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, hands at your heart. Move in harmony with the breath as best you can. Inhale, circle the arms. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, left foot back. Exhale, plank pose. Inhale, knees to the ground. Exhale, dive the chest and the chin down, slide forward, curl back, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward. Exhale, right foot forward. Fold. Inhale, circle the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands at your heart. Just pause there. I'm pretty sure that this is a Western invention, but a teacher that I studied with a long time ago offered this version of the sun salutations in recognition of the earth and the sky and the animals. So we'll add that to this round of the sun salutations. So inhale, circle the arms overhead, touching the sky, the fingertips. Exhale, fold forward and touch the fingertips to the earth. Inhale, right foot back, lunge, recognizing all the two-legged creatures. Hands flat, plank pose. Knees to the ground, and then dive the chest and the chin down in recognition of the multi-legged creatures. Slide forward. Inhale, curl the head and chest up in recognition of the no-legged creatures, like snakes. Exhale, downward facing dog for the four-legged creatures. Inhale, right foot forward, two-legged creatures. Exhale, bow to the earth. Inhale, rise up, touch the sky. Exhale, hands to the heart. We are right in the center of earth and sky. Inhale, circle the arms overhead, touch the sky. Exhale, fold forward, bow to the earth. Left foot lunge, two-legged creatures that walk the earth. Plank pose, four-legged creatures that walk the earth. Knees down. Exhale, chest and chin, multi-legged creatures on the earth. Curl the head and chest up and back. No-legged creatures. Downward facing dog for the four-legged beings. Inhale, left foot forward for the two-legged ones. Step the left foot forward and bow over to the earth. Inhale, rise up, touch the sky. Exhale, hands to the heart. Pause there for a moment. And feel into the interwoven fabric of earth and sky and creature of which we are part. And with the moving in harmony with the rhythms of the earth and the creatures around us. Inhale, circle the arms again overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Touch the earth. Inhale, place hands flat, and exhale, step or lightly hop into downward facing dog. Pause again here. Without overly spreading the fingers, especially the pinky fingers, we'll want to move wider out to the sides, so evenly spreading the fingers. Then move the thumbs away from the first fingers. Feel into the palms, feel into the pads of the fingers and thumbs and let them sink into the ground. Feel into the outer circle of the hands and keeping the weight on the base of the first fingers and the heels of the thumbs. Also feel into the mounds at the bottom of the pinky fingers and the outer edges of the palms, the outer wrists. Maintaining contact with the hands and the ground. Touch the ground with all of the toe pads. Balance the weight across the balls of the feet. Now turn the triceps toward the sides of the face. Squeeze the outer hips in and pull the hips back away from the hands. And let the torso release down through the arms.
2 more breaths. Receive the pose. And instead of fighting what the body is wanting this morning, let the pose shape the body, and the body soften and kind of expand into the shape. Exhale, knees to the ground.
You can just cross the shins and roll back to sit with the legs in front of you, or somehow come around so that the legs are out in front. Navasana, boat pose. So catch the backs of the legs with your hands and turn the thighs in. But then as you curve the spine up away from the ground, feel the thigh bones press into the palms. And then pull lightly back on the hands, with the hands on the legs. Walk in, leaning back the minimal amount. Bring the shins either up parallel to the ground or stretch the legs straighter. Drop the shoulder blades away from the ears and curl the center of the chest up. Breathe. Relax the jaw and the eye. One more breath. Exhale, hands down. Feet down. One more time. So adjust the legs as you need to. Grab the backs of the thighs with the hands, lift the center of the chest up. Look in, lean back. And then bring your shins up parallel to the ground, or again, stretch the legs straight. Release the shoulder blades away from the ears and curl the center of the chest up. So if you're steady and want to move further, stretch the arms out alongside the legs. Lift the center of the chest up. One more breath. And then exhale, feet down. Maybe come a little more forward on your mat depending. Ardha Navasana, boat pose. So interlace the hands behind your head. Descend the shoulder blades. And if that's not a good idea for your shoulders, you can have your hands beside the legs like this, and then roll back from there. So with the hands behind the head, if that's available to you, drop the chin a little bit. And now slowly, and it's really important that you go slowly. Slowly roll back onto the back of the pelvis. And as you roll back, eventually the legs will lift. Breathe. And then inhale, come back up. That's a hard one to talk through. Change the interlacing of the fingers. Drop the chin. As you drop the chin, you're rolling or rounding the lower back. And then slowly roll onto the back of the pelvis until the legs lift. Inhale, come back up. Exhale. Release the arms. Cross the shins. Roll forward and step back again into downward facing dog. Lunge, and we'll do a low lunge this time. So inhale, bring the right foot up beside the right hand. And then drop the left knee down on the ground. Over the edge of the mat, or grab your blanket for your left knee as needed. And here, let the right knee come a little more forward over the ankle while keeping the heel on the ground. So even just like move that position a little bit a couple of times. So draw the knee forward toward the toes, keeping the heel on the ground, come back a little bit, forward and back. And then when you're forward, pause there. Keeping the left knee reaching back toward the wall behind you. Bring your hands up to your front knee. With your hands on your front knee, encourage the front knee to move forward, but press your front heel down. Softening the jaw, let the weight of the legs sink more deeply into the center of the right heel. Cross the pad of the foot. Draw the low belly lightly back. And as you draw the low belly back, you can lean the shoulders back a little bit as well. One more breath. And then take the hands down. Lift the back knee up. Step back. Downward facing dog. And then looking forward, other side. Inhale, left foot up, lunge. And drop your back knee to the ground. Again, move the front knee forward and back a couple of times. So that you move into the range of motion available in the ankle. And now with the knee forward over the balls of the feet. Pause there. Bring your hands up to the front knee so you're really on the base of the thigh. And with your hands, press the front knee forward a bit and also use the weight of the arms and the hands to help ground the the front heel, With the front heel well grounded, keep the front knee moving forward. Soften the shoulder blades away from the ears and release the jaw. Couple more breaths. Feel the body give more into the earth, yielding to the gravitational pull. And in that yielding, there's a innate reciprocity, kind of give and take, where the body settles and then kind of rebounds a little bit and settles and rebounds a little bit. We just want to move with that. And then place the hands down, step back, downward facing dog for a moment. Inhale. Exhale, bend your knees to the ground this time. Bring the soles of the feet right together. Sorry, not the soles of the feet. Bring the inner edges of the feet right together, the knees right together. Put your head on the ground for a moment. Take your thumbs to the tops of your calf muscles. Pull your calf muscles back so that you're drawing the calf muscles back away from the knees, and then sit back onto the heels. If you need extra support here, then grab a blanket or a block and place it in between the heels and the hips. So now in whatever position you're in, take your right hand to your right knee and lift the right knee up. You can balance the left hand on the ground. Slightly lift the knee up, stretching the front of the shin and the ankle. Then put that knee down. Right hand to your side as needed. Lift the left knee up. Lift the chest. And then that knee down. Come forward, keeping the big toes touching. Tuck all of your toes under. Really get right to the base of the toes, the top of the ball of the foot. Squeeze the ankles together. Sit back on the heels. Squeeze the knees together. Squeeze the ankles together. Keep the toes well tucked under. Lift the center of the chest up. Maybe the groundhog is still there in the field. Release the toes coming forward. Sit back on the heels. So you can repeat lifting one knee and then the other, or you can do more. So if more is what the body is asking for, take the hands behind you to support you. Lift the chest up and then lift the knees up off the ground. Lift the chest, lift the knees, keep the weight even across the tops of the feet so you haven't rolled to the pinky toe sides of the feet. One more breath. And then exhale, knees down. Grab your blanket, so if you're sitting on it, then lift up. Take the blanket and roll the blanket up like a little bit. So we're gonna do a squat in a moment and a forward bend with the heels supported. So if you know how much support you need for your heels, take that. And if you don't need much or any for the squat, still have a bit of height. So with the blanket behind you, come up to stand. And now position so that the heels are on the blanket, first one with the feet a few inches apart. So feel the balls of the feet broad on the ground. Lightly spread the toes. Make sure your toes aren't gripping or lifted. Inhale here. And now as you exhale, hinge from the tops of the legs, fold all the way over, standing forward bend. Weight the heels down. Feel the weight even across the balls of the feet. And turn the inner knees lightly back. Squeeze the outer hips together and now fold deeply. So if your knees are not happy with the squat position, then you're going to just stay here and work in the standing forward bend. Or you could repeat kneeling as we did a moment ago. Otherwise, come down onto the heels, or sit down toward the heels. Malasana, squat. Feel even across the balls of the feet. The toes lightly touching. Now kind of hook your upper arms over the tops of your knees, join your palms, and use that to lengthen the spine. Weight the buttocks down toward the ground and slightly in toward the heels. And wiggle the rib cage up toward your knees, the front of the rib cage. Lift the center of the heart toward the thumbs. And then touching the ground. Stretch the legs straight and fold over the legs, Uttanasana. And then bring the hands to the hips, lift the chin. Inhale, come up. And now step the feet right together. Touch the big toes, a little bit of space between the heels. Inhale here. And as you exhale, hinge from the tops of the legs, fold all the way over. As you fold all the way over, as needed, bend the knees and catch the back of the heels, ankles with your hands. Momentarily let the elbows bend to the sides. Spin the inner knees back toward the wall behind you. Stretch the legs straight. And if the legs are straight, squeeze the outer hips together and bring the inner calves to touch as best you can. Now point the elbows back toward the wall behind you and use your arms to deepen the forward bend, bringing your forehead toward your shins. One more breath. Releasing the heels, ankles, bend the knees deeply. Sit down so the knees are together for a moment here in the squat. Now open the knees wide like you're a frog. And then with the knees open, kind of pull the rib cage inside the thighs. Walk the hands more forward, and for a moment or two, having the knees a little bit more open will help with that. So you're in some sort of like kind of insect reminiscent pose. Now take the arms wider out to the sides. Turn the arms so that the palms face up. Keeping the upper arms on the shins. One at a time. Bend the elbows and take the hands around to grip the backs of the ankles, just like you did in the standing forward bend a moment ago. Squeeze the knees in, keeping the heels weighted. Lengthen the torso from the base of the pelvis to the crown of the head, pushing the arms into the shins and the shins into the arms to help with that.
Now, drawing the low belly back toward the spine, round the spine, let your head hang, and maybe touch the head down to the ground. Keep the shoulder blades away from the ears. They might lift a little bit, but that's not a deliberate action. Soften the jaw and the eyes, and let the body yield to the pose, so that instead of force, we're moving in harmony with what is available in the body. And then lifting the head, unwrap the arms, just drop to your knees, move the blanket to the side. Padmasana, so stretch the legs out in front of you. And I'll face you for a moment. So with the legs in front, bend the knees, open the knees to the side and bring the soles of the feet together. Turn the thighs with the hands. And adjust, bringing the heels closer to you depending on your body's responsiveness and receptivity to the pose. Support the hips with a blanket if the knees are high. And then have the hands at your sides for support. So keep a certain degree of length in the torso, but we're working the legs more, if you haven't figured that out already. So really significantly push the heels together. And as you push the heels together, spin the upper inner thighs more down toward the ground. Lift the heels just a little bit up, away from the floor. And as you lift the heels up a little bit, feel a deeper rotation at the tops of the thighs. So this is helping the thigh bones rotate more deeply in the hip sockets when we lift the heels. So you might lift the heels an inch or two up, or they might just barely leave the ground. That doesn't matter, it's more that you're just feeling that action in the hip joints. And keep pressing the heels together. One more breath. And then exhale, release. So now you're going to separate the balls of the feet so that your feet are making a V shape. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like the feet are kind of off. The balls of the feet are off and the heels are still touching. So you're right on the baby toe size of the feet. And with the balls of the feet apart, some amount, push the heels together. Lift the heels up a little bit. To lift the heels up a little bit, feel the work in the outer hips and in the hip joints. Lift the center of the chest up some amount. Breathe. So there can be effort and even hard work, but that's still held in a sense of receptivity, of yielding to what is, and of harmony with the body and the earth. The body represents the earth element. The physical form that we are is of the earth, and then especially the feet and the legs are our contact points to the ground. So when we work well in the body, we're intimately recognizing the connection to the earth and moving into right relationship with the earth. And release. Take the hands to the outsides of the knees. Lift the knees together. For a moment, stretch the legs out straight. And then you're going to line your back, so you might want a blanket for behind your head here. You don't want to have the chin lifted to the front of the throat. That softness in the face is aided when the gaze naturally turns down slightly toward the heart. So, and you don't need to have a belt here, but if you would like one, we are going to do Supta Padmasana, the supine leg stretchings. So stretch the left leg out on the ground and keeping the left knee and foot pointing up. Curve the lower back away from the floor enough that you can press the back of the left thigh down. Draw the right knee in There's going to be a few different options here. The first option is you can hold the back of the thigh with your hands and then stretch the leg straighter from there. And that's a really good option if the muscles in the backs of the thighs need a little more encouragement to lengthen. If you can make the leg straight there, and then you can draw the leg in, you could walk the hands up and hold at the calf, or the ankle, or the outside of the foot, or you could wrap the first two fingers and thumb around the big toe. Remember that it's not about striving toward some end result that is ultimately fictitious, but more to be present and moving in harmony with what the body is able to and chooses, able to do and opens to this morning, which changes every day. So now, keeping the left thigh down, pull the outside of the right hip around toward your left foot. You might feel a little turn out in the right leg, that's fine. And then keeping all of that, draw the leg maybe a little more in toward the chest. One more breath here. And then bend that leg, release. Bend the left leg. And keep the weight even on the back of the pelvis. Stretch the right leg straight. Curve the lower back to bring the right thigh bone down toward the ground. Draw the left leg in. Catch the back of the thigh. Stretch the leg straighter, pushing out through the heel. And maybe, if the leg is straight and coming in toward the torso, walk your hands up, hold somewhere. Keep the right thigh pressing down. Spin the outside edge of your left hip toward your right big toe. So there's a little bit of the feeling in Baddha Konasana when you lifted the heels. And then with the left leg straight, maybe draw it in a bit. Breathe. And let the fluid movement of the breath help ensure that we're working in harmony with the density of the body, the earthiness of the body, and that we're opening to and receptive to the body's response to the pose. And then exhale, bend that leg, release. Come back to the first side. So stretch the left leg straight. Bend the right leg in. This time we're all gonna work the stages together in this way. So hold the back of the leg, the back of the thigh with both hands for a moment. Now keeping the weight even on the back of the pelvis. Curl the head and shoulders up, bringing your forehead and your knee closer together. So you could just stay here, holding the back of the thigh, or you could reach around and catch the foot. Draw the shoulder blades away from the ears, but the shoulder blades can move out away from the spine. And then bringing the forehead toward the knee, stretch the leg straighter. As you stretch the leg straighter, keep the forehead lifting to the knee, and then as the leg gets straight, press the leg away from you and make the leg as straight as possible. Now keeping the forehead lifted and the leg straight, then bring the leg down toward the forehead as much as possible. One more breath. Bend the leg, release the head down, let go of the hands, put the foot on the ground. Pause, both knees bent, feet on the floor. Soften the jaw and the eyes. And the more tension you have to release in between the sides or in between the poses, the more that's an indication that we want to hold some of that softness even while we're working in the pose. So stretch the right. Draw the left leg in, catch the back of the thigh and lightly draw the knee in. You're really also wanting to keep the right thigh bone grounding down. And then without lifting the shoulder blades, curl the head and shoulders up. Either stay here, knee and forehead together, or reach around, catch your foot. You could stay there, or stretch the leg straight. As you stretch the leg straight, at the beginning you want the knee and the forehead together. And then as the leg gets straighter, push the leg away from you for a moment. Use the head and shoulders up a bit more. And then keeping the head and shoulders up, bend the elbows to the side and use your arms to draw the leg back toward the forehead. Press out through your right heel. Soften the jaw and the eyes. And then exhale, bend the leg, lower the head, release. Pause, both knees bent. Weight, again, even across the back of the pelvis. Now we'll do Supta Pangusthasana to the side. So stretch the leg straight on the ground. Bend the right leg in, catch the back of the thigh with your hands. Flex the foot. Press the leg straighter. So depending, if you're holding the back of the thigh and you're pressing the leg straighter, you're going to hold it now just with the right hand. And put your left hand on your hip. The other option is to hold closer to the ankle, to hold the outside of the foot, or to catch the big toe. Wherever you are, keep the left thigh bone grounding down. Hug the outside of the right hip toward the left heel. So the whole right leg begins to turn a bit in the hip socket. And now as you exhale, without letting your left hip lift, take the right leg out to the right. Press the back of the left thigh down. Firm the outside of the right buttocks, the right hip, and use that to kind of act as a shelf so that the right hip doesn't roll to the ground, but instead is trying to almost lift up off the floor. Lengthen through the inside edge of the right leg. One more breath. And then bring that leg back up. Exhale, bend, release. Pause, both knees bent. Soften the jaw and the eyes. Stretch the right leg straight. Bend the left leg in. Either hold the back of the leg, stretch it straighter, or the ankle, or the foot, the big toe. With the back of the right thigh bone down, hug the outside of the left hip toward it, turning the whole leg out a bit. And then keeping the right hip down, exhale, take the left leg out to the left. As it comes out, there's even a slight spin of the torso to the right so that you can keep the right shoulder blade and the right hip head. Use the strength of the outer left hip to help hold the left leg in place. Lengthen through the inside edge of the leg. Keep the jaw and the eyes soft. And then inhale that leg all the way back up. Exhale, bend, release. Both feet on the ground. Take a breath. And then roll all the way over to your right side and sit up. Half on the Padmasana fire log position. So bend the right knee. Open the right knee to the right and put the right ankle on the left thigh. So the ankle bone's just on the outside of the thigh near the knee. And take the hands back behind you. So the hands are supporting you like in Padmasana earlier. Lift the center of the chest up. And then leaning back a little bit, but maintaining the curve in the spine, the lower back lifting away from the earth. Bend the left knee some amount. So you can bend the left knee a little bit or a lot. And if you're bending it a lot, keep the left knee moving toward the left shoulder. Press the right knee a little bit away from you without tilting onto your right hip. So keep the left hip grounded. So even though the lower back might not move in, there is still, we are still making the effort to not let it round toward the earth behind us. So using your hands to help keep length in the torso. Lift the center of the chest up. So if your, and this is only if it's not necessary, but if your right shin is relatively close to the chest, then at the end move your chest toward your shin. See if you can touch your chest and your right shin, keeping the shoulder blades down. Again, make sure that it allows the jaw to stay straight, to stay soft, and the breath to move fluidly. So there's effort without push, without aggression, without violence. And lean back a little bit, extend the left leg straight, uncross the right. Pause. And then the second side, so you're bending the left knee, bringing the heel straight in, and then moving at the hip joint. Open the knee to the side, put the shin on the left shin on the right thigh so that the ankle bone's to the outside of the knee. Lift the chest. So just stay here, that's option one. Or bend the right leg some amount. As you bend the right leg some amount, perhaps bring the foot more in. And you're lining the right heel to the right sitting bone. Use your hands to keep length and your arms to keep length in the torso. Descend the shoulder blades. Soften the jaw and the eyes. Breathe. And again, practice working with right effort. So we're wanting a relationship that is intimate and respectful and responsive to the sensations in the body. Recognizing that as we work in this way with the body, we are moving into right relationship with the earth. Lift the center of the chest up. Press the chest toward the shin for the last breath or two if the shin is close. And then leaning back a little bit, stretch the right leg straight, uncross the left. So now the full pose. So option one is you just repeat what we did before. So we're all going to start there. So right ankle back on the left thigh. Take the hands behind you and bend the knee. So if you're bending the knee and you have a reasonable bend and you feel minimal sensation in the right hip, those are cues that you can go further. And going further means that you're taking the left foot over in front of the right hip. And then you just let the right leg adjust itself and you come down so that the shins are stacked. The feet are flexed and the feet are in direct relationship with the knees. So the left foot is underneath the right knee and the right foot is, relatively speaking, over the left knee. Turn your thighs in with your hands if you're in this position. If you're in the previous stages, you're using your arms to support you. And then if you're in the stacked position, coming forward is the final option. It's highly unnecessary and can give a lot of tension in the outside of the right hip. So you want to choose a position that is not about some preconceived what should happen, but more is response to the sensations in the body. And then if you came forward, walk the hands back in lift the right knee up if they're crossed in a stacked position, or stretch the left leg straight and then uncross if you were in the earlier stages. And then again, second side. So left leg bent, left knee open. Feel the weight across both sitting bones, and then with the hands beside you, behind you, bend the right knee. Again, option one is to stay here, but if you have internal permission from the body to move further, then you're going to take the right foot over in front of the left hip and stack your legs. It's really important to recognize that there's no destination in the yoga practice, and that it's really about cultivating this internal relationship that then has impact in the external world. So we're wanting to really work in a way that honors and respects the creative principle that created our form, and that's created also the world around us. So moving in harmony with the breath and with the body sensations, come into a position that adequately represents that relationship of honoring and respecting and going with what the body is open and receptive to. Feel the breath. Couple more breaths. And then inhale, come on up. So if you're stacked, you're going to use your hands to lift the left leg, and then if you're in an earlier position, stretch the right leg straight, uncross the left. Everybody stretch the legs out straight for a moment, and come back down onto your back. Supta Padmasana 2. So supporting the head with a blanket again, if that's useful. We're going to from Eye of the Needle, the number 4 position, or Suchiranurasana, whatever you choose to call it. And there will be multiple stages, so you can stop at whatever place makes sense for your body. So with the knees bent, cross the right ankle and left thigh. Lift up, catch the back of the left thigh with your hands. So option 1 is you just stay here and feel into the sensations at the right hip. Option 2 is you curl your head and shoulders up off the ground like we did earlier, and then you're going to hold the right shin from underneath with both hands. From there, you'll put the left foot on the ground, but you'll keep the right shin in over the body. So the right shin is parallel and across the chest, with the right foot more over beside the left shoulder. So again, you could just stay here. To continue, you would take the left elbow and wrap it around the right ankle. Again, if you're keeping going, you're going to take the right hand behind the head. So remember when we lifted the elbow up alongside the ear at the very beginning? Same action, but now reach the right hand around and catch either the left fingertips, wrist, or the right foot. Then, if you're going further, and there's no need to keep going further, you're going to work at whatever stage makes sense for you. Perhaps now stretch the left leg straight. Keep curling both sides of the chest or of the shoulder blades up away from the ground. And then the last part is, if you have the right foot, you can stretch the left arm out alongside the left thigh. The shoulders up. Bring the shin and the forehead together. One more breath. So wherever you are, slowly unwrap. So left leg on the ground, Then release the right. Bend both knees, place your feet on the floor. Pause for a moment. Breathe again. Check in with how much tension there is in the face. And use that as indication of how much unnecessary effort or striving was part of the pose position and the work there. And keeping the face soft and receptive. Change sides across the left shin on the right thigh. Lift up, catch the back of the thigh with your hands. So this is the first place to stay. Second is to curl the head and shoulders up and bring the forehead and the shin toward each other. You might stay there, or you might catch the left shin from underneath with your hands. Put the right foot on the ground. If you're continuing, take the right elbow and wrap it around the left ankle. And then continuing, you would take the left hand behind the head, hold the fingertips or the wrist. That's a combination of when we lifted the elbow up and when we held our elbows right at the beginning of the practice. So and you can hold the foot there as the final option. And then stretch the right leg straight. Curl both sides of the back up evenly away from the ground. So the legs are lifting. And then if you did it on the first side, you'll release the right hand and stretch the right arm out alongside the right thigh. One more breath. And then gently unwrap, releasing the hands and bringing the legs to the floor. So, if this has been enough, then you're just going to stay here with the knees together and the feet apart. If you have space for one more, some of you will be very ready for Padmasana, but we'll do it supine. So, and again, there'll be multiple stopping points. So you're going to stretch the left leg out on the ground. Keeping the right knee bent, draw the right knee toward the right shoulder and bring the right heel right up to the sitting bone. Now hold the ankle with the left hand and rotate at the hip to put the left foot as high up as possible, the right foot as high up as possible on the top of the left thigh. So staying here and just simply extending out through the right thigh and the knee is a really good place to stay. If you have minimal sensation and a lot of length or a sense of extension in the right leg, then you could draw the left knee toward the chest, open the left knee to the side, take your hands to the left ankle, and cross the left ankle over the right shin. Lotus position, Padmasana. Squeeze the knees together, catch hold of the feet. And if your legs are crossed, let them open away from the body and descend down toward the earth. If you're in that position, lift the knees back up and then uncross left and right. If you're in the earlier stage, just let go of the right foot, slide it down the left leg, uncross. Pause. You want to make sure that you're not feeling any tension, congestion, pain, discomfort in the knees. So now with the right leg straight on the ground, bend the left leg in, hug the knee toward the chest. Catch the ankle with the left hand. Rotate the left leg in the hip socket, bringing the left foot to the top of the right thigh. And extend the knee away from you. Option one. Option two, if you're wanting to go further, you bend the right leg in toward the chest. rotate that leg in the hip socket so the knee turns out, and that brings the right foot close to the left shin, and then you can use your hands to just hop it over. Hold the ankles, hold the feet rather, and then extend the knees away from you and maybe down toward the ground. Wherever you are, breathe. And then if you've crossed both legs and your knees are extending away from you, draw the knees back in. Use your hands, uncross the legs. If you were in the earlier stage, just let go of your left foot, slide it down the right leg and uncross. And then everybody roll to the right side. Sit up and come onto the heels. So kneeling and taking whatever support you need to kneel with comfort. You want to squeeze the legs together. And then inhale, take your left arm up alongside the left ear. As you exhale, twist the torso to the right and put the left hand on the outside of the right thigh. Take the left hand to the pelvis behind you with the fingers pointing down, or if you can easily touch the ground, you can touch the ground with the right fingertips. We're doing this more as a twist. So curl the lower back in, lift the center of the chest up, and twist the torso strongly to the right. Turn the head, and then inhale back to center. Exhale, release the arms. Inhale, right arm up, lift up. Spin the rib cage to the left and cross the arm over the right thigh with the palm facing out. Take the left hand, fingers pointing down to the back of the pelvis, or touch the fingertips on the ground. Inhale, stretch up through the crown of the head, curving the entire spine in from the back of the body to the front of the body. Lift the chin just a little bit. And as you exhale, twist the torso and the head to the left. Breathe. Soften the jaw and the eyes and hold that sense of internal openness to the position in which we're asking the body to move. And then inhale, come back to center. Exhale, release the arms. Bridge pose, Setu Bandha. So lie on your back again without support for your head right away. We'll move from here into the final relaxation, Shavasana. So have the blanket close by if you're going to use it. And then lying on your back, bend your knees, place your feet on the ground. Bend the elbows so that the fingertips point straight up to the sky, and press the back of the upper arms down, especially adjusting the shoulders so that you can really push the top of the upper arm bones down. Lift the chin a little bit so you have a curve in the back of the neck, and keep the jaw and the face soft. Now very strongly, first take the heels out a little bit. Now very strongly push down into the heels, press the top of the upper arm bones down, and inhale, lift the hips up. Squeeze the knees in toward each other a little bit. Tuck the tops of the shoulders underneath you. Push very firmly down into the top of the upper arms, into the center of the heels. And lift the hips up and curl the chest toward the chin without dropping the chin toward the chest. So in this one today, we want to keep a little curve the back of the neck. Sometimes we do it in a way that is more about lengthening the back of the neck, but today a little bit more of a curve. Exhale and come down slowly. Feel the back of the pelvis against the ground. Feel the heels. We're going to do that a second time. So you could same arm position, or if your body is available to the hands catching the ankles, then catch the ankles with the hands. A midway point is you can touch the fingertips to the heels, or even maybe hold the heels. Then push the heels down. In whatever position you're in, tuck the tops of the shoulders a little bit underneath you. So again, you can very strongly push the tops of the upper arm bones down. Lift the chin just enough to curve the lower back. So it's not a big, to curve the back of the neck. It's not a big lift, it's just a little one. Then curve the lower back, up away from the ground. Push into the heels. Inhale, lift the hips up. Plant the heels. Feel the weight across the balls of the feet. Feel the pads of the toes touching the ground. Lift the hips up. Push the hips up and use that to bring the chest toward the chin without lowering the chin to the chest. The upper arm bones down. Lift the shoulder blades more deeply into the upper back. One more breath. And then exhale slowly. Come all the way back down. Pause just for a moment. Let the body and the breath settle. Relax the jaw and the eyes. And then moving slowly, take support for behind the head as needed. Take support for behind the knees as needed. Cover up if that's necessary. And then lie down for the final relaxation, Shavasana. Place yourself so that the legs and the feet can roll just a little bit open to the sides. Take the arms either to the sides of the body or bend the elbows and place the palms down on the torso. Close your eyes. Settle the body into the ground, taking the first moment or two in the position to check in and make sure that you're feeling supported and comfortable. And then notice the points of contact on the back of the body and the ground. And let those points of contact bear the weight of the body and yield into the earth. Over the next few moments, feel the back of the body release into the gravitational pull of the earth and melt out into it so that the edges, the firm boundary between you and the ground, softens, begins to dissolve. Let go of all the tension in the belly and in the face. Become aware of the air against the front and the sides of the body.
front and the sides of the body effortlessly melt in around the body. So as we relax, the present but often ignored intimate connection of our body to the earth and the air around us is present. And we can feel into the support and the nourishment that the earth and the air provide. And we can feel into the inherent harmony present in the relaxed, receptive, responsive relationship with our environment. The environment within our body, mindscape, and the environment around us. Rest there. Very gently, deepen your breath. And over the course of the next couple of breaths, moving slowly, bend the knees, place the feet on the ground, roll to your right side, and then slowly press yourself up to sit. Sitting well, close your eyes. Join your hands together at your heart. our practice move us into harmony with ourselves and with the world around us, in recognition of our intimate interconnectedness with each other and with the earth. We'll close the practice with one Om. Take a deep breath in. Thank you. Namaste.